There are moments in life when everything on the outside seems fine. You're showing up. You're getting things done. You're answering messages, keeping up with responsibilities, and maybe even reaching goals that once meant everything to you. To everyone else, it looks like you're doing well. But inside, something feels off. You can't fully explain it. And maybe you've tried. You tell yourself it's just stress. Maybe you've had a rough week. Maybe you're just tired. But deep down, you know it's more than that. It feels like a quiet restlessness living beneath your skin, like you're going through the motions of life, but not really feeling in it. Like no matter how much you sleep, how much you distract yourself, or how much you achieve, there's still something missing. It's as if a part of you has quietly stepped back, watching your life unfold without fully participating in it. You laugh, but it doesn't reach your chest. You work, but the passion is gone. You rest, but you're still tired. And maybe a small voice inside you wonders, is this all there is? That voice is not weakness. It's not a sign that you're ungrateful or broken. It's something wiser, a message from within. Because what you're feeling might not be a problem to solve, but a signal that something in your life has drifted out of alignment. And that's the beautiful part. Because the moment you begin to notice, the moment you become aware, is the very moment the journey back to yourself begins. And while this feeling of being off can seem confusing or even frightening, it's actually an invitation to pause, to listen, and to gently explore what's really going on beneath the surface. Because sometimes, what feels like emptiness or numbness is actually your inner self trying to send you an important message. Let's take a closer look at what those messages might be, the signs that tell us we're out of alignment, and how we can begin to find our way back. One of the clearest signs that you're out of alignment is when you feel emotionally disconnected from your own life, even though you're doing all the right things. You wake up, go through your routine, talk to people, do your work, maybe even smile. But inside, there's a dull emptiness. You're not exactly sad, but you're not truly living either. It feels like you're watching yourself from the outside, just going through the motions. Life becomes something you perform, not something you feel. And yet, underneath that emotional numbness, there's often a storm waiting. You might notice moments of sudden anxiety, frustration, or sadness that catch you off guard. Maybe you get irritated over small things, or find yourself on the verge of tears without knowing why. It's confusing, because on the surface, nothing seems wrong. But your body and emotions are trying to get your attention. Your nervous system is sending signals, like a check engine light flashing in the background, and the more you ignore it, the louder it becomes. This often happens when we override our true feelings to keep functioning. The emotional part of the brain, called the limbic system, knows when something is off. But the thinking brain, the part that helps us stay rational and productive, often tells us to push those feelings aside. We tell ourselves we're being dramatic, too sensitive, or that we don't have time to feel this way. Over time, we stop trusting our emotions and start living in a way that doesn't reflect what we truly need. We become disconnected from ourselves, not because we're broken, but because we've been in survival mode for too long. But emotions aren't here to ruin our lives. They're messengers. Emotional intelligence teaches us that feelings like sadness, anger, or loneliness are not random. They're data. They point to something that needs to be heard, healed, or changed. And when we ignore them, they don't disappear. They build up inside, like pressure in a sealed bottle. Eventually, that pressure needs a way out. Astrology reflects this idea too. For example, someone with a Scorpio moon often feels things deeply but hides their pain to protect themselves. They may look strong and composed on the outside, but on the inside, there's a deep emotional ocean that's been waiting to be acknowledged. And that's true for so many of us. We carry more than we show, and we forget how to feel safely. The way back doesn't start with fixing everything overnight. It doesn't come from forcing yourself to feel better or pretending to be okay. It starts with something much simpler and much more powerful. Being honest about how you feel. Just sitting with yourself, without judgment or pressure, and gently asking, what am I feeling right now? Or, what part of me have I been pushing away just to keep going? You don't need to have all the answers. You might cry. You might write something raw. You might just take a slow walk in silence and notice the tightness in your chest or the lump in your throat. That's not weakness. That's returning to yourself. That's reconnecting to your emotional rhythm. And that rhythm is where your true alignment begins. If you want to go deeper into this, I've created a full podcast episode on emotional intelligence right here on the channel. It will help you understand your emotions not as obstacles, but as guides, tools that can lead you back to clarity, truth, and inner peace. So if something stirred in you today, that episode is your next step. You're not alone on this path, and you never have to heal in silence.
Another sign that you may be out of alignment is when your life looks successful on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. You're doing all the things society says you're supposed to do. You're working hard, maybe earning good money, hitting goals and keeping up appearances. You're being productive, responsible, maybe even admired. And yet, something inside you feels numb, like the joy is missing. You keep moving forward because that's what you've always done, but it doesn't feel exciting anymore. Your accomplishments don't bring you happiness, just a brief sense of relief that you didn't mess up. Instead of feeling proud, you feel pressure. Instead of feeling fulfilled, you feel tired. And deep down, a quiet voice keeps asking, why doesn't this feel like enough? This often happens when we live according to what we think we should be doing, rather than what we truly want. It's like building a life to please everyone else, parents, bosses, social media, even an old version of yourself, while slowly losing touch with who you really are. Psychologist Carl Rogers called this the conditions of worth, which means you only feel good about yourself when you meet certain standards. You stop acting from your soul and start performing to be accepted. In your brain, this creates a loop of chasing rewards, like praise, promotions, or likes, powered by dopamine, the chemical that fuels short bursts of motivation. But when that dopamine isn't balanced with meaning or connection, which comes from serotonin, you end up feeling burned out and unfulfilled. You're busy, but disconnected. Even the Stoics warned about this. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." We spend so much of our lives climbing ladders, only to realize they were leaning against the wrong wall. The question isn't how much you've achieved, it's whether those achievements feel true to your soul. In symbolic astrology, this is a common pattern for people with strong Capricorn or Virgo energy. These signs are known for being disciplined, practical, and responsible. But sometimes, that sense of duty turns into pressure to be perfect. They can get stuck in doing what's expected, even when it no longer feels right. And in the process, they forget to ask, does this bring me peace? The way back starts by reconnecting to your values, not the ones you inherited or the ones you pretend to care about, but the ones that light something up inside you. What would you do if you weren't afraid of disappointing anyone? What gives you energy instead of just draining it? What feels meaningful, even if it's not impressive? Real alignment doesn't come from doing more, it comes from doing what matters. When you stop living from the outside in and start living from the inside out, life stops feeling like a performance and starts feeling like you. Another clear sign that you're out of alignment is when you feel tired all the time, not just physically, but deep in your spirit. You might be sleeping enough, taking breaks, or even having days off, but you still wake up feeling heavy. No amount of rest seems to bring back your energy. It's not just your body that's exhausted, it's something deeper. It feels like your soul is dragging itself through the day, and even the things you once loved no longer spark the same joy. This kind of tiredness isn't always about needing more sleep. Often it's a sign of something called emotional or spiritual fatigue, the kind that comes when your life doesn't feel connected to who you really are. You might be living on autopilot, doing what you're supposed to do but not what you want or need to do. Over time, your body and mind begin to shut down, not because you're lazy or broken, but because they're protecting you from a life that doesn't feel right. Your nervous system plays a big role in this. When you feel safe and connected to your purpose, your body stays in a calm, energized state. But when you've been stressed, ignoring your truth, or pretending everything's okay for too long, your system starts to collapse into shutdown mode. This shows up as numbness, lack of motivation, and deep fatigue. You might find yourself saying things like, "I don't know what's wrong with me," or "I just don't feel like myself anymore." That's not weakness. It's a message from your body and soul, a quiet cry for alignment. This can happen to anyone, but it's especially common for people who are sensitive, creative, or deeply emotional. In symbolic astrology, this is often seen in people with strong Pisces or Neptune energy. These are people who need meaning, beauty, and emotional connection to feel alive. When they're stuck in routines or environments that lack depth, they slowly lose their spark. Their energy doesn't just run out. It fades, dissolves, disappears. But the good news is, it's never too late to come back to yourself. The way forward is not to push harder or force yourself to be better. Instead, it's about making space for what truly nourishes your soul. This doesn't have to be big or dramatic. It could be something as simple as listening to music that moves you, writing in a journal, creating something with your hands, or sitting in nature. It's about reconnecting to wonder, awe, and your inner voice, the one that may have been quiet for a while, but never left you. Ask yourself gently, what am I doing that drains my spirit? What small thing makes me feel alive, even for a moment? When you begin to honor those small truths, without guilt, without rushing, you slowly begin to return to alignment. Not all at once, but moment by moment. Here's what I want you to remember. You don't need to be fixed. There is nothing wrong with you. You just need to be found again, by yourself. The disconnection you feel, the emptiness, the deep soul-level tiredness, these are not signs of failure. They're not personal flaws. They're signals, messages, gentle nudges from within that something inside you wants to be heard, honored, and brought back to life. These feelings are actually proof that your inner compass is still working, that your soul hasn't given up, not on you and not on the life you were meant to live. You're not broken. You're just out of sync with your truth. And the beautiful thing is, the moment you stop numbing, distracting, or doubting yourself and start listening, you begin to realign, slowly, softly, naturally. You don't have to go back to the way things were. In fact, you're not meant to. Because the old version of you may have been surviving, but the new version of you is ready to live. Not the life others expect of you, but the one your soul has been quietly calling you into.
And if this message spoke to you, if even a small part of you felt seen, understood, or gently awakened, then don't let it end here. Join this movement. Be part of this space where we grow together, where we talk about real healing, real alignment, and the deeper wisdom most people are too afraid to explore. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with someone who might need this message too. Not just to support the content, but to say, I'm choosing to live in alignment. I'm choosing to come home to myself. This isn't just a video, it's a beginning, and I'm honored to walk this path with you.